Hello and welcome to this edition of Race to Power. My name is Mohammed Saleh. We'll be talking about the elections and politics over the course of the next 30 minutes. And here's a look at some of the top stories today. It's a mega battle in India's western state of Maharashtra, where voters have cast their ballots in the assembly elections. 6 parties divided into 2 political alliances are now waiting to see as to who walks away with the big prize in Maharashtra. As the United States of America, Donald Trump continues to build his team of loyalists who have made the cut in the latest round of the announcements. We get you the details in the show. But first, let's of course start with what is happening in the mega battle for power in India's western state of Maharashtra, where voting of course is concluded for 288 assembly seats. Phase 2 of the assembly elections were also held in the state of Jharkhand for about 38 seats. Now, polling, of course, concluded earlier this evening. There is this hectic now back and forth that, of course, is going on in terms of what is happening in the exit poll numbers in both these states. Now, remember, the counting of the votes will, of course, have to happen before the results are out. Maharashtra is witnessing a very fierce battle for power between 2 major alliances. On the one hand is the WION alliance, led by the Bharatiya Janata Party. It comprises the breakaway factions of the Shiv Sena, led by Eknath Shinde, and Ajit Pawar-led NCP. On the other hand is the Mahavikas Aghadi alliance that is led by the Congress. The Uddhav Thackeray-led Shiv Sena and the NCP led by Sharad Pawar are also a part of this alliance. Now, there are as many as about 4,136 candidates who are in the fray, which includes 2,086 independent contenders. The BJP is contesting on 149 seats, while Shinde's Shiv Sena is contesting on 81 seats, and Ajit Pawar's NCP at this moment is contesting on 59 seats. Now, the Congress has fielded about 101 candidates. Uddhav Thackeray's Shiv Sena has fielded 95. NCP, led by Sharad Pawar, has fielded about 86 candidates. Now, in the case of Jharkhand, the JMM-led India bloc and the NDA, led by the Bharatiya Janata Party, have locked horns in the state. Now, the voters in the eastern state stepped out to exercise their franchise across 14,218 polling stations. In the second, the final phase, the voter turnout was about 67.59% till about 5 p.m. The final tally is still awaited. Now, in the first phase, 43 seats had gone to polls, and there was a turnout of about 64.8% that had been recorded. The Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren, his wife Kalpana Soren, and the leader of the opposition Amar Kumar Bauri are amongst the key candidates there. Now, besides the assembly elections in Maharashtra and Jharkhand, the Election Commission of India also held by-polls in about 15 assembly seats across Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Kerala and Uttarakhand as well. And WION's principal correspondent Disha Shah has been tracking the story very closely for us and has sent us this report from Mumbai. Let's listen in.
Voting has concluded for 288 assembly seats here in the state of Maharashtra, and it was a high-stake election battle that we witnessed because it was the battle of fight between the families. It was a clash of legacies and also of former chief ministers. And here we are talking about Maharashtra, which always is known as a swing state. We have seen 3 different chief ministers, 3 governments and 2 big regional parties being split, NCP and Shiv Sena, in the last 5 years alone. So this election was crucial for each and every party here contesting, the 6 political parties. And here we are talking about 2 major alliances, the Mahayuti as well as Mahavikas Aghadi. We also saw some key constituencies like Baramati, Nagpur, and even urban cities like Mumbai and Thane, where key candidates like Aditya Thackeray, Devendra Fadnavis, Milind Deora, Eknath Shinde, Ajit Pawar, all have been contesting against their rivals. And here we are talking about Shiv Sena versus Shiv Sena in the epicenter of Mumbai. fighting for at least 51 seats, and NCP versus NCP fighting for at least 36 seats in the western belt of Maharashtra. So the overall election of assembly here, it means that the Mahayuti is trying to retain its power and Mahavikas Aghadi is trying for a strong comeback. With video journalist Siddesh, this is Isha Shah reporting here for WION World. This one from Mumbai.
Now, ever since Donald Trump won the US presidential race, he's been a pretty busy man. He's curating his team and announcing new names pretty much every day. And two more names have now emerged who will be joining Trump 2.0. The Republican leader has nominated a new head for the Department of Education, the very same vertical that at a point of time Donald Trump had once pledged to abolish. Now, the president-elect has picked Linda McMahon as the Education Secretary. But who is Linda McMahon? Well, she's the former CEO of the World Wrestling Entertainment. Now, Linda McMahon is the wife of the WWE magnate Vince McMahon, and Trump described Linda McMahon as the fierce advocate for parents' rights. Now, the leader has in fact pledged to send education back to the states, and McMahon will spearhead that effort. Now, Trump has also highlighted McMahon's 2-year stint on the Connecticut Board of Education and 16 years on the boards of the trustees of the Sacred Heart University, which is a private Catholic school, as her experience in education. Now, the second announcement made by Donald Trump is that of Mehmet Oz, a former surgeon and a television celebrity. Now, Oz is making a comeback in the second term. He's been roped in to lead the US's massive public health insurance program. In Trump's first term, the surgeon was appointed to the Presidential Council on Sports, Fitness and Nutrition in 2018. In 2022, Oz unsuccessfully had run for the Senate from Pennsylvania with Trump's backing. Now, Trump's third nomination is that of Howard Lutnick, the co-chair of his transition team, as his Commerce Secretary. Now, Lutnick will also lead the country's tariff and trade agenda with additional direct responsibility for the Office of the United States' Trade Representative. Now, these are the latest pick. Let's also now talk about who might not make it to the Trump's administration. The president-elect has said that he is not reconsidering the former Congressman Matt Gaetz' nomination for Attorney General. Now, Gaetz is accused of having, years ago, paid a then 17-year-old girl for sex. The Florida Republican is also being probed for alleged illicit drug use, converting campaign funds for personal use, and sharing inappropriate images or videos on the floor of the House and other alleged misconduct. Now, he was tapped by Trump on Wednesday to head the Justice Department, and when asked if he was reconsidering the nomination, Trump replied that of course he was not. The second largest city in the United States of America, Los Angeles, interestingly, has initiated some measures to stand against President-elect Donald Trump. And this is how they plan to do it. The City Council has passed a sanctuary city ordinance to protect the immigrants living in the city. The policy will also ban local resources and involvement of federal immigration authorities unless required by state law. Now, Trump's team is already warning against such moves. The ordinance passed by Los Angeles codifies the protection of migrants in municipal laws.
Given the re-election of Donald Trump and the consistent hate speech towards undocumented people and mixed status families, I can't think of a more pressing issue than this one today. Sanctuary cities are not just a legal framework, but they represent a moral commitment to upholding human dignity, protecting families, and ensuring that everyone, regardless of their immigrating status, can live without fear.
Now, the ordinance will also prohibit some sharing of data between the immigration authorities, city officials and agencies as well. And now that the ordinance has been passed in the City Council and is expected to be approved by Mayor Karen Bass, similarly in other cities such as Boston and New York City as well, officials have promised that local resources will not be allocated in helping the federal immigration enforcement issues. Now, Trump will be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States in about 2 months' time, and he has promised mass deportation once he returns to the White House. And also his chosen bodyguard, Tim Homan, has urged sanctuary cities to not come in the way of federal immigration crackdowns. For almost about 10 years, the phrase sanctuary city has been widely used in the United States to refer to areas that limit assistance to federal immigration officials. Since it is not a legal term, cities have taken a variety of different approaches to becoming sanctuaries, such as setting up policies in laws or simply just changing the local policing practices. All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what, of course, is happening in the United States of America and the policies that Donald Trump intends to bring about, we're being joined by Ms. Adele Nazarian, who's a senior media fellow at the Gold Institute for International Strategy. She's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Now, Ms. Nazarian, this, of course, is a pretty big moment. Let's talk about this, sanctuary city. It's a policy that the city of Los Angeles has brought about. Now, all through this election, what we witnessed was that the Democrats were increasingly becoming more hawkish on the issue of immigration. A lot of people said, listen, the Democrats are resembling the Republicans when they're talking about immigration. But here in this case, in Los Angeles, which is the second largest city in the United States of America, they have strengthened the idea of a sanctuary city. Are the Democrats again going to take Donald Trump head on the issue of immigration?
Eric, great to be on with you again. I think that they're going to try to present this as Trump and his administration being racist and bigoted. That's not the case at all. It's, again, human beings, namely immigrants who are in the country illegally, are being utilized as a political pawn, a chess piece, just like the situation with a certain group in the Middle East that's currently fighting against, Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East, truly, outside of, say, the UAE. But basically, what they're going to do is, look, I've been to Europe quite a bit. I spend time between the US and Europe, and I see firsthand what's happening in London, what's happening in Sweden, what's happening in Germany. Immigration, specifically illegal immigration, has completely depleted the European makeup. The problem here is that the immigrants that are coming into these countries, including in the US, are not assimilating. They are not taking on and respecting the local customs, the local norms, the laws. And this is what the issue is.
So in your assessment, do you think the Democrats are shooting themselves in the foot by bringing about this idea of sanctuary cities where they effectively want to stop Donald Trump's immigration policies?
Certainly do. I think everyone knows that, Republicans especially are so keen on the idea of immigration being a key part of the American fabric, key part of the American makeup. It's part of America's history, but they're more fond of legal immigration and not putting those who have put their blood, sweat, and tears, waited 5, 10, 15 years sometimes to be able to have their chance to come to the country legally. And I think that's where the issue lies. And there's a correlation between crime as well, unfortunately, with those who come into the country illegally and nefarious actors who are coming into, sadly, there's always going to be a portion of the population, the majority, they're going to suffer because of the sins of but it's part of the trade-off, and I think Democrats absolutely will be shooting themselves in the foot. Look, anyone who doesn't like it, there's plenty of offers of other countries that are offering very cheap housing in other parts of the world, Italy, for example.
All right, will be interesting to see as to how this, of course, plays out. Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Adele Nazarian, for joining us and getting us that perspective there.
Thank you.
Let's now shift our attention to what is happening in Germany, where the political landscape is heating up as the country is preparing for snap elections early next year. The Chancellor Olaf Scholz has made his intention very clear to contest the upcoming polls, this despite of his weakened position after the coalition government collapsed earlier this month. Listen in.
Anyone who, like me, says that there will now be new elections by making this path possible is also triggering a discussion about how to position ourselves. But what is clear to the SPD and to me too is we are going into this election in order to come out of it successfully. We want to be successful together. I've already said that we want to win, and that is the statement I'm emphasizing here once again. Together, me and the SPD.
Now, the latest comments have come after reports have indicated that pressure is now mounting on Olaf Scholz to step aside. There are younger and low-ranking lawmakers who are calling on the incumbent chancellor to in fact make way for Defence Minister Boris Pistorius to step up in the February elections. Now, reports in fact suggest that Pistorius is very popular amongst the leaders and party members of the SPD. A formal decision by the party on who will be the chancellor candidate is of course expected by the end of this month. And to give us more perspective in terms of what, of course, is happening in German politics at the moment, we're being joined by our correspondent Trent Murray, who's joining us live from Berlin. Trent, these are some pretty interesting times that are unfolding in Germany. Olaf Scholz wants to run again for the position of being a chancellor, but how good are his chances, considering that the economy of Germany is not exactly going through a purple patch?
No, that's right, and facing many difficulties, both on the economic front, but also in the foreign policy arena with key issues like Ukraine, really important to Germany. But we know Chancellor Scholz really is in a difficult position. That pressure is mounting on him, not just from outside the parliament, but within it itself. His own MPs, a number of them, a handful now, publicly saying they think he should stand down and make way for the Defence Minister, Boris Pistorius. As you say, the surveys show that Mr. Pistorius is enormously popular here in Germany. He's consistently ranked the most popular politician, and for the SPD, they are staring down the barrel of electoral oblivion based on the current polls, and for the party, they are hoping that a change of candidate may just reverse the fortunes. But for now, Olaf Scholz is hanging on to that job.
You know, it's interesting that Olaf Scholz seems to refuse to not read the writing that is there on the wall. Now, the economy is not exactly in great shape for the Germans. And the foreign policy issue, a lot of people have said that the German position is actually inconsistent. After the United States of America, it is Germany that has supported the Ukrainian war effort. And now, recently last week, we saw Olaf Scholz dialing up Vladimir Putin and talking about the possibility of peace. How is Olaf Scholz's performance with respect to the Ukraine war perceived inside of Germany? Because Germany is a nation that stands a lot to lose if the security situation worsens in Europe.
Yeah, absolutely right. And if you look at the numbers, Germany is the second biggest supplier of military aid to Ukraine after the United States. And of course, many people here have watched what has happened in the US in recent weeks with the return of Donald Trump. They have heard some of his rhetoric around Washington potentially withdrawing some of that aid. And then the next question then becomes, well, who will fill the gap? And Berlin really will be expected to do that. But the difficulty is right now, of course, we've got this political deadlock happening in Berlin. Much of it is to do with different policy positions on Ukraine. Olaf Scholz, as you said, has tried to consistently prioritise diplomacy, which is why we saw that telephone call with President Putin last week. But he did attract a lot of criticism for that call, because just within hours we saw a major missile attack across Ukraine. Many of Olaf Scholz's critics in Germany leapt on that and said, look, clearly these telephone calls aren't working. What I will say is that regardless of what happens at the election, pretty well all of the mainstream parties do have a consistent position on continuing to support Ukraine. But it certainly is going to be a difficult winter, both for Ukraine and also, I think, here in Germany, given this political uncertainty which has gripped the world's third largest economy.
Indeed. We'll, of course, watch what's happening in Germany. Thank you very much indeed, Trent Murray, for joining us and getting us that perspective there. Let's now shift our attention to what is happening in Pakistan, where the Islamabad High Court has now granted bail to the former Prime Minister Imran Khan in the second Toshakhana case. Now, the court has asked Imran Khan to furnish two bonds of 1 million Pakistani rupees each. The Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf founder has been in prison since his arrest on the 5th of August 2023, and it was not immediately clear if he will be released now. The Toshakhana 2.0 case is based on allegations that Imran Khan and his wife had caused a loss to the national exchequer by keeping state gifts at discounted prices in violation of the rules. Now, these gifts include Bushra Bibi receiving a Bewil Gary jewelry set during a visit to Saudi Arabia. The judge also ordered Imran Khan to appear before the trial court after bail, warning that the bail could in fact be revoked if he failed to cooperate with the court. Now, Imran Khan and his wife Bushra Bibi were arrested in the case on the 13th of July. So remember, Imran Khan and his wife Bushra Bibi had been arrested in the case on the 13th of July, just hours after their acquittal in the Iddat case the same day. Now, Bushra Bibi was given bail by the Islamabad High Court on the 24th of October and she was released from prison. Imran Khan has been implicated in dozens of other cases since his government was dismissed through a no-confidence motion in 2022. And to tell us as to what is happening at this moment in Pakistan, our Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik is joining us live from Islamabad. Anas, this is a pretty important moment for the Pakistanis. The court has given some relief to Imran Khan. Tell us more as to how this particular case impacts Imran Khan's political future and the politics of Pakistan.
Well, last question first, how it impacts the politics of Pakistan, particularly Imran Khan's party has announced a major protest here in Islamabad, not far from where I am, some 100 feet or so from where I am at the D Chowk here in Islamabad on the 24th of November. So in case if Imran Khan actually gets to walk free, that can be called off, but that is not happening because while this was the last major case that was holding back from Imran Khan's release. At this point of time, there are 8 other cases pertaining to the violence that took place on the 9th of May when Imran Khan was actually arrested last year for the first time, and his bail is yet to be approved. That is set to be heard on the 30th of November by the Lahore High Court. There are talks of an impending deal on the part of Imran Khan and his party, deal being implied upon with the Pakistani powerful military establishment, though these talks have been denied at, but all in all, it depends as to what the outcomes of the meetings or the marathon meetings between his party men and Chief Minister of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Amin Gandapur, the outcome of that is, because in case if a deal, as I said, as it's being talked about, if it materializes, then Imran Khan can just get to walk free. If not, then the outcome of the hearing on the 30th of November would be very key as to that will decide the fate of Imran Khan, whether he will be able to walk free or not. Saleh?
Very interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Anas Malik, for joining us and getting us all those details there. Let's now shift our attention to Georgia, where there seems to be no end to the political standoff in Georgia. Weeks after the country, in fact, held its parliamentary election, the mandate claimed by the ruling Georgian Dream Party continues to be challenged by the opposition leaders and also their supporters. On Tuesday, hundreds of their supporters, in fact, rallied in an all-night protest outside of the Tbilisi State University. The protesters reoccupied a key junction in the capital after a brutal face-off with the police on Tuesday morning, and according to the Interior Ministry, about 16 people were arrested, but these detainees were eventually released. Now, ever since the results were declared following the 26th of October elections, the opposition coalition and pro-European Union supporters have accused the ruling party and the poll body of committing electoral fraud.
We're going to stay here tonight as well. and we will fight for our country's future, because Georgia will never surrender, Georgian people will never surrender, and no Russian operation will have any kind of success in this country. I do call all Western partners and leaders to support Georgian people. Please do it as soon as possible. We need clear position from your side.
Now, Georgia stands divided on a national debate concerning its very identity. Once a part of the former Soviet Union, the country has gradually shifted towards embracing a more European identity. Now, Georgia, in fact, took a massive leap in that direction after it submitted a request to become a member of the European Union. The accession process currently stands suspended. The political rift rooted in identity has now spread to a breakaway region of the country as well. And this, of course, is Abkhazia. And this is a breakaway faction of Georgia, and its president, Aslan Zania, has resigned after days of political unrest. Zania, who was backed by Russia, has stepped down and has paved the way for the deputy to assume office. Now, Abkhazia is a territory that much of the world leaders recognize as Georgian, but since 2008, remember, it has been effectively under Russian control after a brief war with Georgia. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Race to Power. Thanks for watching.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at wion.com.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
WION brings you a special business talk show where we bring forth the stories of business leaders.
From breakthrough technologies to visionary leadership. We will unlock the trends, the tactics, and dive into the minds of the industry's most influential leaders.
WION brings you this special series to uncover what drives them in a candid talk show, WION Business Masters.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.